All right, let's do it.
Matt doesn't know what I'm going to ask him, but it's going to be
No
kind of
idea.
a fun one. I've seen these things on YouTube, especially where somebody gets asked like to rank the top five of something, right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
so what I'm going to have you do is rank. I looked up the top five resistance training exercise for building muscle when it comes to science, according to science.
Okay.
And so let's see if you can rank them in order. Or let's just see if you can get ones that are on the top five. We'll start there. What do you,
Okay.
what's
And
the first
these
one?
are exercises. They're specific
Exercise.
exercise.
Resistance training for building muscle, the top five according to science, according to ChatGPT.
Okay. Um, I'm not sure the order, but I can definitely pick some movements here. So
Okay.
so I'm
We'll
gonna
start
say
with one.
squat. Squat's gonna be one of them for sure.
The squats is one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like
So
that one's hard to beat. Like that's either I was like it's for sure in the top five. It may be one. So that's number one. Okay.
just think about this though when it comes to squats to like dig in, right? First off, back or front squats, but squats, they work everything, right?
Yeah.
They work your quads, they work your hamstrings, like different types of, how you put the bar.
Hmm.
Low bar squats versus high bar squats are going to work more quads versus low bar, more hammies. Glutes are obviously huge, worked in squats. Core, is definitely in squat. Even and then front squat is on steroids. Core, right?
Yeah.
That's really really core. And then lower back, right? Those
Yep.
are some of the big ones. So it's huge, huge, huge when it comes to an exercise that really works everything.
Yep. So then I would say some sort of pull, some sort of heavy row or pull. So like, are these movement specific? Like, so it's like a specific, very specific exercise, or it's just like a
Yeah.
movement pattern?
No, 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 no. These are
Actual
specific
exercises.
exercises. They're just
Okay.
so you got the three
Um,
squats. Now give me number. What do you got for a second one? You don't have to rank them because that's hard.
mm, I'm gonna say deadlift's gonna be in there too.
That's number two.
Okay.
You literally hit the second one.
Yeah. Again, another like I'm trying to think of what do you get the most bang for your buck, like in terms of muscle building, in terms of full body. Like, yes, people traditionally think like a squat is just lower body. Like, and same thing with the deadlift. They're like, okay, that's gonna be back, maybe a little bit of legs. But like when you actually have performed these movements time and time again, you understand how demanding they are on your entire body. And the better
Yeah.
you can like be better at utilizing your entire body when you're doing these, the better you'll be at the lifts, the more muscle you'll be able to gain. Like it it transfers over hand in hand. Like those are the top two like gold standard that I can think of immediately, that come to mind. So we got squats number one. Oh,
Squats and
go ahead.
then well, to dive into deadlifts a little bit. I mean
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that was an exercise that I strayed away from for a long time
Me
because I
too.
was like, oh, I had low back problems, and it like they really teach you to keep your core strong, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like you work and honestly, like there's not. I don't know if there's an exercise that's more fun to just to be able to build weight on than a
Yeah,
deadlift, right? When
yeah,
you can throw around some weight on a deadlift, that just is like whole body. Like that's
yeah,
like the one true full body exercise in my eyes because it really does take everything
yeah,
to be able to push that weight or push a
yeah.
lot of weight.
Yeah, for sure. I had
What's
them today. I had them this morning. And so I was using my open trap bar. So I got an open trap bar, like love that. Um, been doing standard traditional deadlifts forever, like different variations, stiff leg deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, like all of them, all with the barbell. So now I'm transitioning into this next cycle. Just got a new piece of equipment, so I want to test it out, but like really putting some emphasis on the open trap bar and using the trap bar. So yeah, man, but it's one of those things too. Like as I'm warming up today, specifically with those movements, I'm like, I could feel myself when I'm not bracing my core just because it's lighter weight. So I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to go through the motions. I'm going to kind of just pick this bar up and focus on warming up here before I get to my working sets. And as I'm building up, because I wasn't taking in a deep breath, because I wasn't taking, focusing on my core and keeping tight and staying stabilized, like I could feel like the weight was heavier to pick up because I wasn't focused on that stuff, right? Even though it's just warm up, but then I was like, okay, dial those things in, keep a neutral spine, brace, squeeze your shoulder blades down and back, and almost like you're a good cue that I like to give people is like as if you're squeezing oranges underneath your armpits and you're trying to squeeze all the juice out of them, right? That helps you like really engage your lats and get in a position of that's ideal and optimal so that you can pull some heavier weight, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of, it's difficult for people to establish that position, but that was a cue, especially coaching in person, that worked really well for people. It was like squeeze the juice out of the oranges, and then all of a sudden you see them like tighten their armpits, they get in a good position, you see their lats engaged, they pull the slack out of the bar. You're like, okay, now you're ready to lift. So
You know
great
what
full
helped
body movement.
too was I remember I had this was one exercise that I had like huge gains in. One thing I actually had 100-pound increase in one day on deadlift.
Yeah, because it was, did something clicked mentally or what? Like what?
I tried something that I saw online, and it's
Uh-huh.
like, and I haven't done deadlifts in a while, to be fair. I've done dumbbell deadlifts and RDLs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but like straight deadlifts. So I did this thing. I was like, I'm going to try something because it's such an easy exercise to get stalled at a certain point, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's like you get up to really high weight and it's hard to increase it. And you almost got to do like deficit and stuff like different
Yeah.
things like that. But and figure out where your sticking point is with
Yep.
the deadlifts. But I did this thing where I would start standing straight up and like put my feet wherever I wanted to, like where I needed them to be, and I would do like a one motion, like get into a deadlift motion by grabbing the bar and just going. Right. So it was increasing momentum
Mm-hmm.
because that's one of the hardest things, like getting going from a dead stop. And so I did that, and in one day I remember like I just kept going up. I was like, oh wow, that was easy. I was like, and then I went again. I was like, that's easy. And I
Mm-hmm.
went, and I think that was the day that I got over 500 on the deadlift for
Yeah.
the first time, which
Yeah.
was a big
Because you're
one.
using momentum to your advantage, right? Like
Mhm.
a lot of people think they have to like go from this dead stop, and that's more of like a dynamic start, right? Like if you can use that momentum to your advantage and you can still maintain position, like that's huge.
Yeah.
I really was a big fan of that too. With like when I'm doing, in addition to deadlifts, like if I'm doing cleans or like power cleans or full squat cleans, like I noticed that when I put my hands on the bar and started with my hips high, and then you kind of like almost drop your hips into it and then you go again, like the timing is going to be, it's super crucial, and you got to make sure you maintain position. It takes a lot of practice, but once you figure the timing out on that, like with my cleans, same thing, my weights were like shooting up, dude, because I was using that like dynamic start. I was using some momentum into my cleans, and it was just like, holy shit, weight that like I used to, get a perfect setup and take this deep inhale and like brace and create tension from this dead stop and then goes like, yeah, you can do it like that. However, if you learn how to do that dynamic start, it's just like, and you time it right and you do it right, like, dude, that weight feels like it just pops off the floor. And you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
Just
why
flies.
wasn't I doing this the whole time?
Yeah.
So,
I love it, dude. All
okay,
right.
we got
Next one.
squats, we got deads.
Yep.
Uh, Three, I would say I'm gonna go with 3 and 4 might be interchangeable for me. So I would say like uh, overhead press specifically. I'm thinking with a barbell, and then a bent over row with a bar. So I think I don't either or, but a
So
press and a row.
overhead press is number 5. Right. So
Okay, so overhead press is 5.
barbell or dumbbell is on. It says that's just like those. No, there is not a bent over row.
No
There's
row. Okay. Is there a pull up instead, or is this with equipment?
Yep. No, this is the pull up. You got it. Pull
Okay. Yeah. So
or
I think you could interchange a barbell row with a pull up. Yeah. Okay. I got it. And then so there's still one more in there, right? There's still
one more. Yeah.
okay. So we got squat. So the
Squats
order,
1.
we got squats number 1, we got deadlifts number 2. Are we looking for number 3
We're
still?
looking for number 3. Pull ups are 4. Overhead press 5.
Pull ups 4, press 5. Ooh, give me a clue. Give me a hint. Because I'm thinking I have 2 or 3 things in my head I'm trying to pick between.
Yeah. So it's a muscle group we haven't even discussed.
Okay. Um, let's see here. We've done
It's
that.
one of the most common exercises out there, probably the most popular
Oh, it's a
exercise.
bench
Yeah,
press. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I kind of like thought about that one, but I like a overhead. Here's the reason I like overhead press versus bench. Bench is great, but like the reason I was thinking overhead press is because um, you are creating strength and stability in you have to have the body awareness and pressing weight out in space. So that's I feel like the strength gains, because it's so much harder, the strength gains from it, um, for me personally, have been awesome.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, bench is super cool, it's fun, it's the bro lift, like it's amazing, it's awesome. So many benefits come from it, but that's why I said standing overhead press before I said bench press, because for that reason. But they're both great. I mean, they're both awesome.
they are.
They're you know,
I'm
different
personally
planes of
think that
motion.
overhead press, I think, is one of the hardest.
It's
You know,
hard,
like
dude.
just
Super hard.
standing barbell overhead press. It is a very difficult
It's hard.
exercise. But then I do think like bench is specifically incline is like a
Yeah.
huge one.
Incline's awesome.
I don't do much flat bench. Everything that I do is incline. Like mostly, I'll do incline dumbbell press. I'll do incline chest flies. You know, like most everything that I do is incline.
Yeah.
Personally,
I mean, if you have shitty shoulder mobility and you're trying an overhead press, you'll basically look like you're doing an incline press.
yeah,
Be leaning so far back. You see that a lot too. Like if people, their shoulders are so tight. I remember this guy I used to train with. He's like, he couldn't put his arms straight up over his head. He's so tight, just super jacked, like very bulky. And so when we do overhead press, he'd have to lean back so far that he basically is like, damn, dude, you're doing an incline bench press. Yeah, like, what the hell?
standing incline
Yeah,
bench.
yeah, yeah. He ain't even doing an overhead press. But yeah, if you have tight shoulders, that movement, a standard overhead barbell press, is going to be really hard for you.
Yeah.
So then dumbbell, you could use dumbbell, right? Like dumbbell might be a little bit easier for you to get in position. But yeah, working on that shoulder mobility is crucial. I like that, man. That was challenging. I didn't know the quite order, but I feel like I pretty much got most of the movements there. And I would agree with those too. Like those are the most challenging. And here's the thing too, is like, you're going to see the majority of people, I feel like, when you go to a standard traditional gym, is like, you're going to see a lot of people on machines and stuff, because it's easier, right? Like it's and it's great for introductory and being able to like get in there and stay consistent, like just sit on a machine and kind of put a pin on a certain weight and just be like, oh, can I do this? And you can kind of just go through the motions. But there's something to be said about, I guess, this, you can kind of go over the exact topic. The topic was the things that give you basically the biggest bang for your buck in terms of building muscle and
Yeah.
resistance
Resistance
training.
exercises that build the most muscle according to science.
Yeah. And so it's like, there's a reason why those things are like tried and true. It's not to say that like machines are bad or anything like that, but it's just like, you can get so much more benefit from learning these more challenging movements. They're tougher, they're more difficult for sure. Like there's a learning curve, but the payoff for them when done correctly is just like, it's hard to beat, man.
Oh yeah. That compound stuff always going to be better for you. Works so many different muscles. That's why it's compound movements.
Yeah.
But hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. This was a lot of fun. We'll definitely mix these in a little bit more. I think it'd be fun to do the top 5 of different stuff, and then we can talk about each of them and do our best, but and kind of go back and forth as far as who does the guessing and who doesn't. But we appreciate you guys every week watching and listening. If you did like this one, think it'd be fun for somebody, make sure you share it with a friend. Always give us comments if you have certain topics you want us to do, certain top 5s, different stuff like that. Otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of the day and week, and we'll be talking to you soon.